My name is Overbeck Bonsu. I am here to present my developmental psychology article review and media essay. The article I reviewed was entitled Effects of a Statewide Pre-Kindergarten Program on Children's Achievement and Behavior through 6th grade. The purpose of this article was to determine the long-term effects that a pre-K education, a specific kind, in a specific place, had on the academic and potential performance tendencies of children. The method, this was a longitudinal study, which means it studied a specific group of people, here children, um, over a length of time from pre-K all the way till 6th grade. The authors randomized this study by leveraging a system in the pre-K process that was already there in the pre-K process. It was used to pick and choose what children would get in and would not get in. So it was an automated lottery system, and it would just automatically choose or deny those who applied. The ones who got in were the experimental group, and the ones who were waitlisted were part of the control group. The key findings was that participants scored lower on state achievement exams in grades 3 through 6, specifically in math and science. They also committed more student conduct offenses, including rule violations and suspensions, than those who did not attend pre-K. Furthermore, these participants also skipped class more than their cohorts of the controlled group. So basically, the immediate effects of the pre-K, entitled TN-VPK program, were great. They were positive, but those effects eventually dwindled as the study went on. Nature versus nurture is exemplified in this study through a statement that was explicitly stated. Now, before I get into that, nature versus nurture was a debate where nature refers to the expression of genes independent of external social influences, so like the biological factors, while nurture refers to the expression of genes as a potential result of external influences. So examples of external influences would be environmental influences, like maybe chemicals in the water or the food you eat, upbringing, culture, familial influence, personal relationships going on. This understanding, this debate, has long been debunked because nature and nurture are more like partners than competitors or rivals. But and it has been explained as differential susceptibility, which says that the sensitivity of people to influences and experiences vary. Now, despite this new understanding, it remains a misinformed expectation that positive influence will have a direct and almost guaranteed long-term effect on anyone exposed to them, at least intentionally, and under the right circumstances. Again, this has been debunked, but it was explicitly stated in the study that the expectation of making pre-K more accessible for economically disadvantaged families was that pre-K will have a longer-term effect, will have longer-term effects on academic and behavioral outcomes and help close the achievement gap. Well, the outcome, however, did not support this hypothesis at all, but it did support the differential susceptibility. The students who were the products of these pre-Ks demonstrated a higher tendency of the opposite of the expectation. um, Having disciplinary infractions despite expectations that nurture would win over nature, or vice versa. Excuse me. Strengths of this study is that it was randomized. It's always good to be randomized, um, to limit the confounding factor. And similar studies in the beginning of the article were included, including their methodologies and their results. The limitation of this study is that it focused on a specific state-funded program. This may have disqualified it, or probably did disqualify it from being generalized. The real-world implication of this study is that it aids in the understanding of human development by explicitly debunking the widely believed myth that nature and nurture are two separate and concrete concepts that can be manipulated to manufacture the development of children. Children are less like robots and more like gardens. So although it may be disqualified from being generalized, and it may impede the expansion of these programs, it can play a pertinent role in the betterment of the programs. Now for my media essay, The Little Rascals. The characters that I will be speaking about or using as an example today include Spanky, the president of the He-Man Woman Haters Club, Alfalfa, who was Spanky's best friend, and had a crush on Darla, which is a big deal because he is part of the He-Man Woman Haters Club, and has sworn to hate women. Buckwheat, who is also a member of the He-Man Woman Haters Club, and Darla, Alfalfa's forbidden love interest. Course theories found in this, or exemplified in this movie. First is Vygotsky's sociocultural theory. In Vygotsky's sociocultural theory, it is emphasized that social interaction is critical for a child's cognitive development. The Little Rascals demonstrate this theory through their constant meeting, planning, and execution of plans, and including rebuilding their clubhouse and peer-to-peer correction of language and encouragement of proper use of social cues. Another theory exemplified in this movie is theory of mind, a sim a sorry y'all, I'm sleepy. A demonstration, I guess, of a maturation of theory of mind is the ability to lie, specifically to make someone happy. An example of this is in a date scene between Alfalfa and his love interest, Darla. And because this is a taboo thing, the members of the He-Man Woman Haters Club sabotaged the date by messing with all their food. So their grape soda, they poured it into a old shoe. But specifically for this theory of mind, they put kitty litter in their sandwiches that Darla and Alfalfa brought for each other. So they both brought sandwiches, but they switched sandwiches to be cute, I guess. And when they took bites of it, they took mouthfuls of kitty litter. But they both lied. Um, and to make each other happy, really. It was said that the sandwich was delicious, even though the disgust was on their faces. 3 developmental milestones. First is egocentrism, which is the second stage of cognitive development according to Piaget. It refers to the inclination of children to think and understand the world around them solely through their personal context. An example of this was that during an emergency club meeting, Buckwheat makes a statement about the blur, which is the name that they gave their vehicle that they use in like an annual um, like race. The statement is as follows: The blur has never been beaten since the beginning of time, 5 years. This demonstrates egocentrism in that Buckwheat's limited understanding of his personal context surpasses the logic that the beginning of time extends way beyond the beginning of his time. Another milestone is language learning. Um, the reference of the He-Mans as gentlemen when Spanky specifically the aspect of pragmatics is exhibited generally across scenes by Spanky, the club president. In a speech that he delivers to the He-Mans, he takes on a formal tone and uses formal words to reference the He-Mans as gentlemen when he is speaking to them as their president. But as a friend, he calls them boys. Um, this demonstrates an awareness and intentional employment of language and communication style, depending on which social role he is playing and who he is talking to. A third developmental milestone is initiative versus guilt. According to Eric Erikson, this is the third psychosocial crisis. Children between the ages of 3 and 6 undertake new skills and activities. The guilt in this stage is brought on by excessive discouragement, dismissal, or criticism of the children's initiative taking by an older person. The burning down of their club headquarters led them to go on a series of initiatives, including the collection of money for lumber to rebuild the house, a trip to the bank to apply for a loan. After rejection, after rejection at the lumber shop and competing in a race for the prize money, after being dismissed and insulted in the bank, the children exemplify scene after scene an almost stubborn but impressive initiative to keep going in spite of misfortune and rejection from adults. Um, Now, an example of something that they got accurately, the movie, um, was the development of fine motor skills at this age, exemplified by note writing, the ambidextrous, like simultaneous use of both hands on a fishing rod, and driving homemade carts. And the bias, I can't help but to notice that this is a movie, and the children are trained professionally to display adultified traits. So although the vocabulary explosion of tens of thousands of words is an impressive phenomenon, I know that some of the words used were just a part of the script. And these are my references. Thank you.